My electric trike had a bearing go out about 57 miles. It's the bearing right inside there, causing this axle, you can see, to have all this play. So I'm going to remove this wheel. Let's get into it and see if we can replace that bearing. I remove this yellow hubcap. Now, I've already removed this nut right here, this bolt, because it has blue Loctite on it, and it took the impact wrench to break it loose. But it's an 8mm hex, and once it's broken loose, just going to take it out. I have my helper here. You helping me? He's hoping there's something like peanut butter coming out of there. All right, axle bolt is out. I'll take the tire off, tire and wheel assembly. And you can see, you gotta watch out, don't lose this key. It's in there pretty good. Remove that key. Now you can see the bearing is just shot. Now, as I said, I've already removed this. There's a small Allen screw right there holding this retainer, which would go up against the axle, and I'll show you how to tighten it when I replace the bearing and put this back on. But loosen that hex key and pull it off. Now we're going to get in there and remove that bearing. It's completely shot. This is part of it. This is the outer seal on the bearing. So I'm going to figure out a way to see if I can take this bearing completely out, because all the balls are gone. We don't know where they are. And it just fell apart at 57 miles, and it took about another half mile for it to all the balls to completely come loose. But we're going to get it out of there and put a new one in. Now, because all the ball bearings are gone in that bearing, I'm not going to take the axle out. There's another gentleman on YouTube that'll show you how to take the axle out, and I hope I don't have to remove the axle, but just with a screwdriver. It's going to take two hands to get it loose, but this is the inner of the old bearing, and so you get two hands on here and pry that loose. I continued working on this little small inside of the bearing, and I had to take some pliers and put them across here and tap it with a hammer, but I got it loose. That's like the inside race, and so I'm really trying to not take the axle out. But what I'm going to do is I'm gonna get something and go get a chisel, and I'm probably going to just destruct, hit that with a hammer, pry that outer ring out. We'll see how that goes. And since I'm holding the phone with one hand, wish I had it mounted on something. I'm going to take this chisel. I'm going to go right in here and see if I can bend that bearing down and be able to pull it out that way. Right in there, right in where it goes into the axle housing. Well, I can tell you the outer ring of that bearing, the outer housing, is a really strong piece of metal, and I took this chisel and a hammer and wrapped it pretty hard, and I couldn't get it to bend or fail. So it looks like I'm going to have to go in there, remove the axle, and knock it out from the inside. Okay, what I resolved to is, because I just don't think I can officially take the axle out. There's too many moving parts back there to figure it out, and there are no instructions online, and Trike won't be any help. So see those notches? What I'm doing is I'm going to cut this bearing out of diameter out. using is a Dremel Carbide carving bit, and it is strong enough to cut the metal. I just got to be careful I don't damage the axle housing. So I'm going to keep running the Dremel and see how it turns out. So where I am now with the Dremel, you can see I cut it in 2 places, creating a notch. Cut that, took the screwdriver. Now I'm trying to put a screwdriver in here, and as I tap, this springs down, and my plan is to get it loose and see if I can pull it all the way out. All right, I'm having some success. Pushed it around. I sprayed it with some WD-40 penetrant, just a little bit, and then I put the regular screwdriver in there, and check this out. Here we go. That's challenge number 1. I'll show you what I did with the Dremel. See, I just got in there with the Dremel carbide bit and kept working till it broke through, and then I took a screwdriver when it got thin and broke that notch loose. So, all right, I'm gonna flush all this out, drain it down, clean it out, and then start back with the new bearing. This is the old ball bearings that were up in the axle. I just tilted the axle down and bumped it, and these fell out. So you can see this is the part that fell. None of the ball bearings came out of it. It looked like maybe the seal on the back side of the bearing housing just came apart. But so look at this. None of these ball bearings had grease on them. They're pretty clean. That's just my penetrant. So the ones will go back will have some grease on them. This is a new bearing. I ordered it on eBay. It's a 20mm inside, and the outside is going to be 35. And the thickness on this one is 9mm. I can't get it to stand up to show y'all. Here, let me get it turned up for you. There we go. 8.97mm, which is close enough to 9mm. 9mm thick. Okay, got the new bearing. Gonna slide it on there. It feels good that way. Definitely fits the axle. And I'm gonna spray a little silicone lubricant. My favorite lubricant, WD-40 silicone. To tap it in, I am going to use the old bearing race to try to tap that in. We'll see how that goes. And using the socket and gently tapping with a small machine hammer, not a big one. Gently. You can see I'm very satisfied how that fits. Just tapped it in until it got flush, and I think we're ready to put the collar and the tire back on. Okay, let's do a little test run here before we put the wheel back on. Sounds good to me. Okay, put the collar on. Got a set screw there and one there. Let's see. Now I'm just going to bump it up against. Give it just a tiny bit of clearance there. Okay. Put a key in. All right, now let's go back with the wheel. Let's see where you are. There we go. Okay, now, oops, another mistake. Get distracted trying to do a good video. Let's pull it off. Get a wrench. Tighten this up. I know there's a lot of folks probably video and cut out the dumb parts, but I guess this is my blooper. I'm gonna get my Allen wrench and tighten up that collar. Now we're doing it right. I think that's 2.5 millimeter. Let's find the other one. It's right down here. Turn it in there. Snug it up. Okay, I feel good about that. Yeah, works good. Now, let's, for the third time, let's put the wheel on. Now I think we're ready to put the wheel nut on. Before we put the wheel nut on, there's a spacer or washer, if you will. And so I'm going to put it on. So I can do this with one hand to show you. Well, evidently not. Can't get my fingers right. Okay, there we go. I'm going to put it on, and that's going to fit down in there flush, just like that. And get it started. But I want to get some Loctite, put a little bit of blue Loctite on those threads first. Okay, got our blue Loctite. Just put just enough to cover the threads there. And I think that'll hold it. Okay, we got our nut in there. Put our hubcap back on. I can see that these hubcaps will be really easy to lose because you can squeeze them and they'll pop off. So if you rubbed up against something, that may come off. But let's check it out. Let's see if we can give her a spin. To our power on, pedal assist 1. Yes, sir. I think we're ready for the road. Okay, that's it for the do-it-yourself replacement of the right rear electric trike axle bearing, and I'm glad it turned out the way it did. A little bit scary as we took the Dremel tool to it, but it all worked out successfully. Just taking my time, and I'm looking forward to getting on this bike and putting several hundred miles on it. I may do the left side. I'm just going to wait and see if it fails, but if it doesn't, we'll just keep rolling. Thank you for watching, and have safe travels.